Letting go, the most powerful act of rebellion. We live in a world that thrives on control. Control over possessions, over people, over circumstances that are as shifting as the wind. From the moment we open our eyes in the morning, the world teaches us to grip tightly, to cling to outcomes, to demand certainty, to hoard security as if it could shield us from the storms of life. And yet, the more we clutch, the more we are dragged by the very things we seek to possess. There is a power greater than holding on. It is the power of letting go. This is not resignation, nor is it weakness. Letting go is the deliberate choice to release your chains to the uncontrollable, to free your mind from the tyranny of expectations. It is an act of rebellion because the world insists that your worth is measured by your grasp, your influence, your accumulation. To release what you cannot control is to stand against this lie and declare, "You will not own me." When you let go, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. The rise and fall of fortune, the praise or scorn of others, the gains and losses of life, they may swirl around you, but they cannot move the ground beneath your feet. You stop being a prisoner to what if and if only, and begin to live in the realm of what is. That is where freedom lies. Letting go does not mean you do not care. It means you care in a higher way. You still act with courage, with justice, with wisdom, but you release the illusion that your peace depends on the outcome. You plant the seed, you water it, but you do not command the rain. And if the rain does not come, you do not curse the sky. You tend to what you can, and you keep walking. There is nothing the world can do to a soul that has mastered the art of letting go. Threats lose their sting, losses lose their power, and even death itself becomes nothing more than a doorway, not a prison. For when you hold on to nothing, nothing can be taken from you. That is rebellion against the deepest fear of mankind. That is true strength. Letting go is not weakness, but deliberate strength. It is the conscious choice to release what you cannot control. Letting go is often misunderstood in our culture. People think of it as surrender, as giving up the fight, as a sign of weakness. But in truth, it is an act of supreme strength. To let go is to take a deliberate step away from the chains of control that keep so many in quiet bondage. It is not apathy, it is mastery. Weakness clings because it fears loss. Strength releases because it understands that nothing external was ever truly ours to begin with. Every day, life confronts us with situations that are outside our grasp. The behavior of others, the changes of fortune, the flow of time itself. These things are beyond our command. We may fight to hold them still, but our efforts are like clutching water in our hands. The tighter we squeeze, the faster it slips away. And the more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more we exhaust our spirit, and the more we invite anxiety, bitterness, and despair into our hearts. Letting go is the refusal to fight battles that cannot be won. This is not passivity, it is power. It is the wisdom of understanding where your influence ends and where the currents of life begin. When you let go, you no longer exhaust yourself chasing what is beyond reach. Instead, you direct your energy toward what is truly within your power, your thoughts, your actions, your character. The world tells you that strength is in dominating, in bending reality to your will. But reality cannot be bent for long. It will snap back, and in that recoil, it will crush those who fight against it. True strength is in aligning yourself with the truth of how life works, and in accepting it without resentment. To let go is to take the keys of your mind back from the hands of fear. Fear thrives on control. It tells you that unless you hold tightly, you will lose. But fear does not reveal the full truth. You cannot lose what was never yours to own. People, possessions, positions, they are all temporary guests in your life. To clutch them is to live in constant dread of the moment they leave. To release them is to find peace in the knowledge that your worth is not diminished when they are gone. It is easy to think that clinging is a form of love, but love is not ownership. Love, at its highest, is freedom, freedom for yourself and for others. By letting go, you honor life as it is, not as you demand it to be. You honor the truth that you can plant seeds, but you cannot command the harvest, and when the storms come, as they always do, your peace will remain untouched, for it does not depend on what the storm takes or spares. Letting go, then, is not defeat. It is victory over the greatest enemy, the illusion of control. It is choosing strength over fear, freedom over chains, and truth over comforting lies. And once you have tasted that freedom, you will see why letting go is not the end of the fight. It is the beginning of living. The world measures worth by control and possession. Letting go defies this false standard and frees you from it. The world we live in has built its foundation on a false measure of worth. From an early age, we are taught to chase, to grasp, to accumulate. Success is defined by how much we control our possessions, our image, our influence over others. We are told that if we can bend circumstances to our will, we have arrived. Yet this standard is a trap, because it ties your value to things that are temporary, fragile, and always beyond your complete control. The moment you build your identity on these things, you become their servant. Letting go is the great rebellion against this lie. It is standing in the midst of a culture obsessed with control and saying, "I will not be defined by what I hold in my hands." The world calls it loss, but in reality it is liberation. When you release the need to control every outcome, you stop playing the game that enslaves so many. You are no longer pulled by the tides of public opinion, no longer shattered when wealth fades, no longer broken when people walk away. Your worth is anchored in something the world cannot touch. This act of rebellion is not loud or violent. It is silent, but it shakes the foundations of the system that seeks to own you. The world thrives on your dependence. It tells you that you need more to be complete, that you must constantly protect what you have, that you must fear losing it. But once you let go, you remove the hooks by which the world manipulates you. No threat can control a person who has already released their grip on what the threat promises to take away. Letting go does not mean you retreat from life. It means you engage with it more deeply, but with freedom. You can love without fear because you are not clinging to the outcome. You can give generously because you are not afraid of lack. You can face challenges without being crushed because your peace does not rest on circumstances. The world's standard tells you that power is found in possession. Letting go proves that real power is found in detachment. The irony is that when you stop clinging, you actually experience life more fully. When you are obsessed with control, your mind is consumed with protecting, managing, and fearing loss. But when you let go, you are free to be present, to see clearly, to act with wisdom. You can appreciate what you have without being enslaved by it. And when it passes, as all things do, you do not crumble. You simply adjust your course and keep moving. So the most powerful act of rebellion is not to demand control, but to release it. By refusing to let the world's false standard define you, you rise above it. You live with a kind of strength that cannot be bought, threatened, or taken, and in that strength you find the truest form of freedom a human can know. Peace is found in detaching from outcomes, focus on actions guided by virtue, not on results you cannot command. Peace is a treasure many search for but few truly find, and one of the greatest barriers to it is our attachment to outcomes. We live in a constant state of tension because we believe our happiness depends on things turning out exactly as we hope. We plan, we work, we strive, but along the way we forget a simple truth. We cannot control the final result. We can influence, we can prepare, we can act with excellence, but the outcome is shaped by forces far beyond our reach. When we tie our peace to that uncertain outcome, we hand over the keys of our contentment to chance. Detaching from outcomes does not mean we stop caring or stop trying. It means we understand the limits of our control and choose to focus on the part that is truly ours, our actions, our decisions, our character. The seed you plant is within your control. The rain that waters it is not. When you understand this, you can act with all your might while refusing to let your heart be enslaved to the result. This shift in thinking is powerful because it removes the burden of anxiety. You no longer feel crushed by the weight of what if and if only. You stop measuring your worth by external success or failure. You can walk away from a task knowing you gave your best, even if the outcome was not what you hoped for. Your peace is no longer a fragile thing that rises and falls with circumstances. It becomes steady, anchored in the knowledge that you have done what was right, regardless of what follows. Living this way frees you from the roller coaster of constant disappointment. You still experience joy when things go well, but you are not destroyed when they do not. You can face setbacks without losing your composure because your sense of meaning does not crumble with them. This stability is rare in a world where people live chained to the highs and lows of fortune, and it allows you to remain clear, headed and steady when others panic. Moreover, detaching from outcomes does not rob you of motivation, it purifies it. You begin to act not for the sake of applause, recognition, or reward, but because the action itself is good, just, or wise. This creates a deeper fulfillment than any external prize can give. It also frees you from manipulation, because those who would seek to control you through promises or threats find they have no leverage. When you learn to let go of outcomes, you are no longer a prisoner of circumstances. You stand in a place of inner strength that no change in fortune can take from you. You still dream, plan, and work, but you do so with the freedom of one who knows that their true peace rests not in what happens, but in how they live. And that kind of peace cannot be shaken. True freedom comes when nothing owns you. Losses, criticism, and even death lose their power over an unshaken soul. True freedom is not found in the absence of responsibility or in the ability to do whatever you please. It is found in the state of being untouched by the shifting tides of life. Most people live as if their happiness depends entirely on external factors: wealth, relationships, status, health. When these things are present, they feel secure. When they are taken away, they feel crushed. But this is not freedom. It is dependence, and dependence is a form of quiet slavery. When nothing owns you, nothing can truly harm you. This does not mean you are indifferent to life's blessings or blind to its pains. It means you have trained your mind to remain steady no matter what comes or goes. You understand that all things outside yourself are temporary, and because you have accepted that truth, you no longer cling to them with desperate hands. You are grateful for them while they last, and you let them go without bitterness when they pass. Such freedom transforms how you respond to the world. Loss no longer defines you because you never built your identity on what could be taken. Criticism loses its sting because your worth is not tied to the opinion of others. Even death, the greatest fear for many, loses its grip because you see it not as a theft but as the natural close of your time here. The one who has let go of the need for external security walks through life with a calm the world cannot comprehend. To reach this state, you must break the habit of measuring your life by what you possess or control. The truth is, you never truly possessed them to begin with. Every relationship, every achievement, every material thing is on loan from life, and life will reclaim it in its time. The tragedy is not in losing them, but in believing they were yours forever. When you accept that they are temporary gifts rather than permanent rights, you release the fear that comes with holding on too tightly. With this freedom comes courage. You are no longer afraid to take risks, to speak the truth, to stand alone if necessary. Fear of loss no longer dictates your choices, because you have nothing to lose that can touch your true self. And in that courage you find an unshakable peace. The storms of life will still rage, but they will not sink you, because your anchor is not in the waves. It is in the depths of your own steadfast spirit. When nothing owns you, the world loses its power to control you. That is why this is true freedom. Not a life without hardship, but a life where hardship cannot take away your joy, dignity, or peace. And once you taste this kind of freedom, you will see that it is worth more than anything the world could ever give you. Letting go transforms life into fearless living. It allows you to rise above fear, embrace reality, and live with unbreakable inner peace. Fear is the silent master of many lives. It hides beneath ambition, caution, and desire for security, but its grip is revealed whenever we face the possibility of loss. We fear losing our possessions, our relationships, our status, our health, and ultimately our very lives. This fear keeps people chained, afraid to take risks, afraid to speak truth, afraid to live fully, but letting go shatters those chains. When you have nothing to cling to, you have nothing to fear losing. That is when life opens up before you in its fullest, richest form. Letting go transforms existence because it removes the constant shadow of what if. What if I fail? What if I lose this person? What if I can't keep what I've earned? These questions no longer torment you when your peace is not tied to holding on. You still value the blessings in your life, but you do not treat them as your lifeline. You can appreciate them without being enslaved by the fear of losing them. This allows you to live boldly, to face challenges with calmness, and to act out of principle rather than desperation. The fearless life is not reckless, it is purposeful. When you let go, you are no longer driven by the need to protect yourself from every possible harm. You can stand in the middle of uncertainty and not be shaken, because your sense of security comes from within, not from circumstances. Even when life takes an unexpected turn, you are not crushed. You adapt, you endure, and you move forward without the bitterness that comes from clinging to what is gone. Fear is often rooted in the illusion of control. We imagine that if we plan enough, work hard enough, and hold tightly enough, we can prevent pain. But pain is part of life, and no amount of control will keep it away forever. Letting go is the acknowledgement of this truth. And when you accept that pain is inevitable but not defining, you stop living in constant resistance to it. Instead, you meet it with strength, allowing it to shape you rather than break you. This way of living brings a joy that is unshakable because it is not based on perfection or constant comfort. You can celebrate what you have without depending on it to sustain you. You can love deeply without being paralyzed by the thought of loss. You can face endings without despair because you understand that life's beauty is often in its impermanence. Letting go is not the end of caring. It is the beginning of truly living. When fear no longer rules your decisions, you are free to act from your highest values. You can walk through life with a steady heart, meeting both joy and sorrow with the same calm acceptance. And in that fearless acceptance, you will find the deepest rebellion against a world that thrives on fear, a life of unbreakable peace.